Guys, this is why I say it's not always a good idea to do interviews. The Georgia Court of Appeals will hear the appeal on the disqualification of Fani Willis. What does that mean? Well, it means the trial, the entire Trump RICO trial in Georgia, is going to probably be way farther down the calendar now. But I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. So now both parties need to make their brief, and then they'll be able to make oral arguments in front of the appeals court sometime down the road. This is usually a slow moving wheel. For the appeal, it's going to be a panel of 3 judges, and 2 would need to agree to reverse the decision. And then that can all be appealed as well. So it was actually Phil Holloway that I saw this screenshot from. It's dated today, so this just came down. And it just says, upon consideration for the application of interlocutory appeal, it is ordered and hereby granted that the appellant may file the notice of appeal within 10 days of this order. So there you go. And I don't think this is really any surprise because Judge McAfee indicated that this could be a course of action. And we knew right away that some of the attorneys for the defendants were filing for this appeal. But why does this all matter? Guys, this is why I say it's not always a good idea to do interviews. Because what's happening now? We just had an interview where Lindsay Davis sat down with Nathan Wade. Nathan Wade had to step down as special prosecutor as part of Judge McAfee's decision. Nathan Wade stepping down meant that Fani Willis could stay on and continue the prosecution against Trump and his co-defendants in the Georgia RICO election case trial. And this brings me to my next point that we have this appeal. They're going to hear the appeal. They're going to look at what was on the record. But you know what else could be problematic? We have this interview.
But it's my understanding that the relationship ended not because you were worried about it bleeding over, but you all just had differences of the value of a male and female in a relationship, that kind of thing, that you ultimately started having some heated conversations. But correct me if I'm wrong. Was there a point that you all stopped because you said, this is inappropriate, this could impact the integrity of the case?
Okay, that's a lot there. So we didn't have heated conversations to the extent that we were at odds and arguing about the inherent roles of.
Well, I mean, Fani said on the witness stand, like, oh, according to Mr. Wade, the only thing a woman can do is make me a sandwich, right? I mean, and she said she's the one who described it as heated conversation.
She said that, listen, if I made a statement like that, certainly it was in jest. I respect women.
So just give me a sense of the timeline as far as when the romance actually started and then once it stopped.
So early 2022 to late 2023 is the time frame. What people don't see and don't know is that we continue to have a very close relationship. We are friends.
Now, what's the problem? What was a key issue that Judge McAfee himself said he was concerned with? A key point of contention is if this relationship was ongoing at the time of the indictment and the appointment of Nathan Wade as special prosecutor, or whatever the case may be. So we have testimony that that relationship ended before August 14th, 2023. But here he's saying that relationship ended, the intimate relationship ended because he says the friendship still continued, but the intimate relationship ended by late 2023.
So the question, though, was if you had a relationship. And in 2023, you said you did not. And that is different than what you said in this affidavit, correct?
No, ma'am. I said during the course of my marriage. So
you believed it too?
Let him finish, Ms. Merchant. So in 2015, my marriage was irretrievably broken. So I did not have a relationship with anyone during the course of my marriage.
And in that interrogatory, they asked you if you had any receipts for travel with someone of the other sex up until the time you were answering it. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that you didn't. You've already testified to that earlier. But in this affidavit, you swore that you had travel expenses and shared expenses on travel with Ms. Willis.
Again, during the course of my marriage, I had no relationship or receipts.
I'm not asking about during the course of your marriage.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask the witness to be allowed to answer the question.
Continue. I have no problem with him answering.
Okay. As it relates to receipts today, I don't have any receipts, man.
So you don't have any travel receipts available to you for any travel that you did with Ms. Willis?
I don't have any receipts. No, ma'am.
No receipts that, so you used your business credit card for these trips, correct?
I use my business credit card for everything.
Okay, yes.
So this is why I'm saying it's messy, guys, because no, we're trying to change and use a very lawyerly way to maneuver the definition of a relationship, of a marriage. Well, in my head, it ended because mentally we were separated from each other, even though on paper we're still married. All right, if I want to give you 100% benefit of the doubt with that and we move forward, regardless of what you put on those affidavits, you're saying that the relationship was over before this indictment took place.
Let's talk about Tennessee. You booked a cabin in August 2023?
August
and paid for a
2023.
cabin in Tennessee. That's when you paid for it. I don't know when the trip was. Can you tell us about that?
August of 2023.
You booked a trip for $1,481.54.
Are you asking me, did I take that trip with Miss Willis, or are you asking me?
First, I was just asking you to acknowledge that that is correct from the records, that you paid for a cabin in Tennessee. Do you recall, and hopefully you can do it from your memory, do you recall paying for a cabin 6 months ago, $1,400.81 in Tennessee?
Where are we now? What page is that?
I'm just asking from your memory. Do you remember paying for a cabin in August?
Your Honor, if he's going to be asked about a particular transaction, then
You can answer whether he remembers or not.
I don't.
Mr. Wade, I'm not asking you to go through 1,000 pages of records. I'm asking if you remember paying for a cabin 6 months ago in Tennessee.
No,
Do you remember booking a cabin?
I booked lots of cabins.
Did you go to a cabin with Miss Willis ever?
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 No.
Never gone to a cabin with Miss Willis?
No.
Have you ever gone to Tennessee with Miss Willis?
Yes.
Okay. When was that?
That was around 2022, early 2022.
And another important question that stands on its own is the timing of when Nathan Wade filed his divorce against Joycelyn Wade. It was November 2nd, one day after Fani Willis appointed him a special prosecutor in November of 2021.
You filed on November 2nd of 2021. You're hired on November 1st of 2021. Why the day after?
You mean one day before? So
You filed for divorce one day after you were hired, right?
okay, I'll answer your question.
Okay, please.
So in 2015, when my wife had the affair, we had a conversation that we would divorce right then. Again, the better practice, at least for my children at the time, was to stay in place until the youngest could graduate.
So that was his answer on why he filed on November 2nd. And then he's hammered on this in questioning because he's defining when the relationship ended. He's setting a self-serving definition of when the divorce took place, even though it wasn't legally a divorce on paper. And he's hammered about this as far as the time frame of May 30th, 2023.
Did you or did you not, by May the 30th, 2023, have had sexual relations with Miss Willis, yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
And it took several questions to get to the point where we just got a guess. And for brevity, again, remember, we're just trying to shrink this down, but there's questions. They've been questioning and trying to get a straight answer on several dates, several points in time, and several key issues. When did you actually start seeing Fani Willis? You know, defining friendship versus intimate. When were you hired and filed that divorce paperwork against your wife, Joycelyn Wade? And when did the relationship end? And in that interview with Lindsay Davis, he says at the end of 2023. But
I'm going to try to keep my questions very specific.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to also, of course, try not to go back into specific questions that have already been asked. Okay?
Yes, sir.
When did your relationship with Miss Willis end?
2023.
Can you give us an approximation of, not by date, but by month?
Summer 2023. Forgive me. I'm a man. We don't do the date thing. Summer 23, I would say June, maybe.
Okay. Using the euphemism personal relationship, did you have any personal relationship at all with Miss Willis after the summer of 2023?
I want to make sure that I'm answering your question. Are you, because
Let me rephrase if I might. The way it has been characterized in, for example, the response of the state, and I believe in your affidavit, is there's a difference between a personal relationship and a professional relationship, correct?
yes, sir.
Okay. I'm not talking about a professional relationship. I'm talking about a personal relationship. Have you had a personal relationship at all? And you know what I mean by that, after the summer of 2023.
Are you asking me if I had intercourse with the district attorney?
I was trying not to, but I guess if you're going to characterize it as that, the answer would be,
The answer would be no.
so it's been purely professional since the summer of 2023.
So that's where we're having issues.
Okay, you'll have to explain because I don't know what the issue would be.
No, I will explain to you.
Thank you.
You say personal. We're very good friends, probably closer than ever because of these attacks. But if you're asking me about specific intercourse, the answer is no.
How about if I change it from intercourse to romantic?
No.
Let's just run back this Lindsay Davis interview one more time.
Just give me a sense of the timeline as far as when the romance actually started and then once it stopped.
So early 2022 to late 2023 is the time frame.
So what do you guys think? Could this be problematic? This appeal is moving forward, and one of the contentious points of issue is the timing of the beginning and the end of the relationship between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade. And most of the testimony was centered around these timelines and trying to elicit proof of those timelines, right? And now we have this interview with Lindsay Davis, and in just this one small line, we're hearing the end of 2023, late 2023. During testimony, yeah, it was summer. And that testimony we were watching was from February 15th of 2024. So if it had ended at the end of 2023, it would be pretty forward in your memory, in your recollection. So, and we're not going to get into Fani Willis's testimony on the timing of the relationship ending, but Nathan Wade's the one that did the interview.
Let me say this. My conversation here with you today is just that. It's Nathan's conversation. I do not speak for the district attorney's office. I do not speak for their position. As a matter of fact, I'm certain that they would rather me not be having this exchange with you.
His testimony is still part of the appeal. And this appeal moving forward, most problematically, would impact Fani Willis. You know, I find it highly unlikely that this will reverse course and get Nathan Wade back up, get his job back or anything like that. But it could impact Fani Willis's future. So another question is, we have Nathan Wade still saying that they have a close relationship, but what he said in this interview could hurt someone he just called a close friend still. So what do you guys think about this interview now in retrospect? What do you think about the news of the appeal being heard? I don't think that that's too surprising if you want my opinion on it. And the biggest takeaway is no matter what the appeals panel, the 3 judges decide, it's moving the time frame out, right? It's months. We're going to have extra months tacked on before we even get to the start of this trial. But what do you think about this interview now? Let me know your thoughts on the appeal. Let me know your thoughts on, if you think that Nathan Wade's interview could have an impact on Fani Willis. And if you think that impact will be negative, positive, if you think it'll impact the appeal at all or something else, let me know your thoughts on timelines and anything else you can think of. The floor is yours. You guys all have a good one. Take care.